Hello. Welcome to another week at the bungalow. What a few weeks it's been. My apologies for missing videos for the last couple of Sundays. Work has been still continuing back at the bungalow. Had some technical difficulties with laptops, etc. Still struggling at the moment with some microphone issues and compatibility with new hardware, but anyway, enough of all that. We're back on site and we're prepping for render to be completed, or render to start. So I've had the scaffolding put up, giving us access to the higher parts of the bungalow, so the gable ends and the rear boxing areas. So a few laborious jobs, and my apologies. I thought I'd let you see what we get up to nevertheless. We've got the filling in between the artificial slate overhang underneath the tiles and the brickwork, so that when the render goes up, the hole that you can see there is actually covered and they don't lose all their render. So once this is sort of smoothed off and before it dries, it gets wiped over. Got a couple of holes in the external brickwork, so this is the old heating system, so there was an oil-fired boiler in the kitchen. So those are the two ports for that, some air going in and the exhaust. And we've also got to fill in the usual bit around between the tiles and the slate, just to make that watertight. So having the scaffolding here has given us access, which we never had before. All of it previously was done from the roof area, because we never bothered to get any scaffolding here. Ideal opportunity and a couple of days work, just filling in those bits. So we're using a weak mix sand and cement. We've got some lime in it, so I think we've got 611, so 6 sand, 1 lime, 1 cement. Means that it dries nice and pale and relatively weak, in as much as it's weaker than the tiles, but it also means it dries a nice sandy colour rather than being grey with the lime in it, and pales it right up. Not actually sure what else the lime does, but that seems to be the case. So it's a bit of a testing one. Take your time. Try and get it as neat as possible. So while I was outside mucking around with this, Claire was inside doing the serious work of insulation in the bungalow, making it nice and toasty warm, or stopping the drafts. Speeding it up, it takes a long time. It's just tiny bits of sand and cement going in at one effort. I mean, when you're done and you finish your day's work, you feel like you've made, done some progress, but at the time it's pretty bad. Bit of a shot here up top, so this is the last bit. Just filling in the ridge end. We're right up against the bay tree to the left of the bungalow, so it's pretty awkward. I'm perched on top of a ladder because we never got the scaffolding up really high. It's a bit of a pain, but all complete. Then another one to be done and dusted. There's the end caps. So these are the sort of jobs that just get left. Just a bit of a pain. The amount of self-built properties you see with odd things like this that are just left and not completed. But with the render coming along, we've got to get it done, because the render's going to butt up against it and seal it all together and seal up the bits and drafts. So I started by making some ply templates worked on the fact that these might be slightly easier to cut and shape and everything else. And then once they were done and I'd offered them up and I was happy with this fit, cut into some actual timber. So the end piece are obviously going to be solid timber, the same as the soffit and fascia. So just scribing it out and then using the circular saw to cut. Once I worked out which way around I need to put the piece of timber under the saw blade. And then the cuts just get finished off with a handsaw, just to release the piece of timber. Then it's time to offer it up. They're a proper pig, all the angles are sort of odd and strange. And you're sort of making it fit round where you put your bits of slate. Just the bottom to trim off, get it the right length. Okay, so there's glue on the back, so we're gluing and nailing. Most important bit, making sure it's square. Face of the house, bit everybody's going to stare at and look at. Nothing worse than a bit of piss timber. So, worth double checking. And then just nail it home. And a little bit of adjustment. Okay, so around the side, got this odd piece that just sort of ends, because it obviously wraps around the corner to seal up the roof as it comes down. So I have to cut a piece of tile to fit in. And also the timber work to go around the side. So trial fit number 1 in the ply. Don't know what I was thinking when it came to that angle at the top, but anyway. Absolute tragedy. So a bit of pencil work and then hopefully we get it fixed. So, second go. Cut into real timber. Slightly more successful. Bit of fettling at the top there. But this is what I say, this is the process and all the different sort of angles we've got to worry about. It's not my forte. But we get there in the end. Just takes twice as long as it would if you did it all the time, I suppose. Much better, go number 2. I think I still fettled it a little bit more before the final one just to stop this it binding quite so badly on the wall and the tile. Pushes in there and seals it up. Keeps all the birds and creepy crawlies out. So there we go, trimmed it down, slides it much easier. and fixed into place. Once again, like I say, there's a bead of glue on the back just to make doubly sure she ain't going to fall off. But as I said before, the render's going to seal in all these pieces. So the punch there just to bury the heads. And then we do exactly the same all the way around. The other one gets punched home. And there's another one you haven't seen before, which is the front right. Just bury the head so we can run around before we paint all the soffits and fascias we can fill. And then there will be no marks at all for how it's fixed on. So that's the front right corner. And then the rear area, and we're all done. Normal service hopefully will be resumed again next week. I thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you again on the next one.